Well, as you can see, we've moved indoors. We're poolside in Okotoks, Alberta, about a half-hour's drive south of Calgary. This is the community's recreation center and the hub of a lot of activities for this town. It's also a great example of why Okotoks is such a remarkable place, not just in Canada, but in the world. This rec center has everything: solar energy systems, high-efficiency lighting, all the latest to keep things warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and green the whole year round. Even the water in that swimming pool is mostly solar heated. Not bad for one building. But this isn't why we're here. Okotoks has been doing this on a much, much bigger scale. This is one of the fastest growing communities in the country, but it has linked that growth with sustainability. The Sheep River is Okotoks' lifeline. It runs right through the middle of town, but it is a limited resource. Much of the year it's just a trickle, fed by snow melting in the nearby Rocky Mountains. It's the source of the town's drinking water, and it's where the town's sewage ends up. But the Sheep River is under pressure. Alberta's booming economy, fed by oil and gas revenues, has brought more and more people to the province. Okotoks has grown quickly too, putting more and more demand on the river. Okotoks Deputy Mayor, Dr. Ed Sands, has lived here since 1980. He's a chiropractor, and he's also a town councillor. In 1998, Okotoks had to decide whether to follow a path of endless growth or find a way to limit its size.
We said we can keep growing, or we can guide our growth of the community by the ability of the Sheep River to provide us with water and to accept the treated effluent at the other end of town.
When the town looked into how big it could get but still live within the river's capacity, they realized the town could only grow to a population of between 25 and 30,000.
We will have a certain geographical size, we will have a certain population size. We chose to take the path less traveled.
Well, the path that Okotoks chose made it one of the few communities in the world that limits its growth to what its environment can handle. That's led to all kinds of innovations, making Okotoks one of Canada's greenest communities. Municipal Manager Rick Quayle oversees the administration of the town and helps steer the town's sustainable development. He's taking us on a tour to show us some of the things that make Okotoks so green.
Back in the 60s, Okotoks was a village for all intents and purposes, and had a population, I believe it was a little under 1,000 at that point in time. Right now we're sitting at about 17,500 people. So annual growth in the last few years has been in the 10+% range, which all provides a significant challenge around making sure we've got the long-range planning, we've got the infrastructure in place to meet the needs of our citizens.
The plan to balance growth and the environment forced Okotoks to start by managing their limited water supply.
We know that to achieve build-out of this community, we need to reduce per capita consumption of water by more than 30%.
And they've already achieved that. Water use here is tightly controlled. Conservation is the rule, not the exception. People who use more pay more. The town's water system is so sophisticated, it can track and account for almost 95% of what it takes in from the river. Most cities in Canada can only account for about half of what Okotoks can. To make sure what they put back into the river is eco-friendly, the town upgraded their sewage treatment plant.
This is state-of-the-art, this is world-class. Our objective and goal is for the effluent that comes out of this plant to be as good or better than the quality of water in the receiving stream, and the treatment processes that we have in place right now are resulting in better than receiving stream water qualities.
And they figured out a way to recycle some of the sludge that's filtered out of the raw sewage. It's mixed with sawdust, and then it's stored in these containers where it turns into compost. While managing water resources started the town on its green path, it doesn't stop there.
Okotoks has, at every turn, looked at, from an energy management point of view, at how could we do it better. 60% of all the electricity that we use in our municipal accounts for street lights, for fans, motors, arenas, etc., 60% is certified renewable, primarily from wind.
They're planning to make that 100%. Okotoks is already Canada's leader in using solar thermal energy. Green electricity powers everything from the town's cardboard recycling depot that uses solar panels, to heat water that's piped through the building's floor to heat the building.
The natural gas consumption in this building is about 1/4 of a comparable 3,000 square foot building that we have on the same site here.
It saves money, but it also reduces greenhouse gas emissions by burning less carbon-based fuel. And there's more energy innovations over at the town's Public Works building. It's known as a solar wall.
Solar thermal energy, the sunshine, hits the metal, heats up the metal, and we draw the air in through these little perforations in the metal. What that does is it preheats the intake air, resulting in less energy required to heat the air to heat the building.
There's another solar wall over at the brand new recreation center. But solar energy does more than that here. Solar panels on the roof heat all the hot water in the building, including most of the pool's water. Even the rink's ice cleaning machine that uses hot water to lay the smoothest possible new surface gets its hot water from the sun's energy. Altogether, this building uses about half the energy of a comparable building and reduces greenhouse gas emissions by about 40%. It's part of how Okotoks has managed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by almost 1 million tons since 1998.
We saw an opportunity to save money. We saw an opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we saw an opportunity to bring innovation and renewable energy sources to our community.
The people of Okotoks are proud of what they've achieved. Here, everyone recycles, almost everything. Rules limit households to 3 bags of garbage a week, and people have reduced how much they throw out by 40%, less for the landfill, and saving the town over $1.5 million in landfill fees. It gets greener. This building gets most of its power from wind turbines. The floor is made of recycled tires. Even the building itself is recycled. Abandoned some time ago, the town picked it up and moved it here. Recycling in a recycled building. It's another example of the remarkable achievements Okotoks has made to minimize its environmental footprint.
We have seen in Canada a dramatic change in attitude around the importance of the environment, around creating communities that are better use resources. The push from our citizens is there across the country.
We've been used to living big in Canada. We're resource intensive, and I think that's because we could do it in the past, but I think the reality is coming around that we can't do that. We have to take a different look at how we live, and I like to think that's what we're doing here in Okotoks.
We're going to take a closer look now at how some people live here in Okotoks. We're going to visit a neighborhood called Drake Landing. This is a really amazing story, and our guide is the CBC's Carolyn Dunn.
It's not like Denise Francis and her husband set out to move into one of the most unique communities in North America. It was an accident, really. They were trying to stay dry during a rainstorm.
We walked into the show home, and that's how the ball got rolling. We liked the size of the houses. We liked the area, obviously.
So much they purchased and moved into the Drake Landing solar community.
The R2000 house is so tight that there's no air gaps.
The Francis house is one of the greenest imaginable, not only because of the top-notch insulation or the low-flow toilets and showers, or the energy-efficient lighting and appliances. What makes this house, this community, the greenest is the heating system.
This is the brains of the house. This is the how we get our heat, how we get our fresh air. This is the air handler, and it replaces the normal furnace.
And the heat comes not from oil or gas, but rather solar energy.
In simple terms, how it works is hot water that's heated by the solar collectors on the roofs of the garages flows through to the energy building, and then it flows through to our houses on demand.
Houses, that's right. It's the ultimate in neighborhood sharing. All 58 homes are hooked up to a central solar heating system. Okay, so where are the pipes then?
The distribution lines here are just underneath the ground right in here. And for each row of houses, we have two lines. One's a supply line and one's a return line.
Keith Paget works for Sterling Homes, the builder of this community.
On this project, we have 800 solar collectors. That equates to probably the largest collection of solar panels within Canada and, possibly North America.
Here's how it works. All of the homes have solar panels lining the garage roofs. That energy is collected and heats water. The water is stored in two huge storage tanks.
These two tanks that we see in this room are the heart of the entire solar system. So all the heat received from the solar panels on the houses comes to these tanks.
The heating system may be what connects these neighbors together, but what's really groundbreaking about this community is what lies beneath this rather unremarkable piece of ground behind me. It's a system called BETUS, 144 holes drilled 37 meters straight down, with pipes running down each hole. Once it's fully functional, the pipes will heat the earth to a steamy 80 degrees Celsius, and it stays warm through insulation, the ultimate long-term storage.
We take the excess sun on sunny days, or the excess energy from the sun on sunny days, and we put it underground, and we store it there for future use in the next winter season.
To what end? Clean, green home heating.
An average standard Canadian home, I'm told, uses or produces about 7 tons of greenhouse gases per year. And in this project here, we save approximately 5.5 tons of greenhouse gases per house per year.
That's a very significant number.
Yeah, it equates to about an 83% savings of greenhouse gas emissions for each and every house.
Energy Star.
It's a savings Frances values even more than her reduced utility bills.
I'm proud that I can say I'm doing my part instead of just paying it lip service. I'm sure there's more I can do, but I think I've taken a big step. It was easy. It didn't change us in any way. It didn't change our lifestyle.
There may be more communities like Drake Landing to come. The builder is considering an even bigger solar community, 200 more homes, heated by the power of the sun. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Okotoks, Alberta.
The name Okotoks, by the way, comes from the Blackfoot word for rock. There's a big one not far from here, and the Blackfoot used it for a landmark. Okay, our next story takes us up the road to Calgary. It, of course, is Canada's oil capital, but it's a lot greener than many Canadians may realize. Aaron Saltzman has that story.